Welcome back. It is the first Tuesday of the month, and as always, that means we get a new rotation of free assets on the Epic Marketplace store. This month we're getting the Modular Gothic Fantasy environment, the Survivors Roguelike multiplayer pack, and the Defender animated dialogue system, grocery store props collection, and the low poly town. So these 5 assets you can get until the first Tuesday of the next month, which will be December. So if anything is of interest here, make sure to pick it up. To get to these assets, you as always go to the free section and go to the free for the month here, and you should be able to view these. Now, we have some pretty interesting assets this month, so let's take a look at what we got. Starting off with our first environment asset, this is the Gothic and Fantasy modular asset. This one I'm showing the overview first, just so that you see the different parts that you have available. So first we have some different particles here made in blueprints, so that's something that you can make use of, and then you have the different actual meshes that this set is consisting of, along with some backdrop here of some mountains, and you also have some examples of vertex paints that you can make use of to make some variation for your assets as well. Now, this might not look as much, but that's why I started with this map, because if you go to the demo map itself, you'll see that you can actually do quite a lot with quite a little if you have the talent and the eye for it. So here we are inside of the scene of the map. So this is the daytime scene. We're starting off in sort of an environment that's actually a courtyard, because you can see the castle up here. So if we just get out a bit, you can see this is what you can create with those few assets. Now, just clicking around, you can see that how this is done is that they have these green borders mean that there are groupings of static meshes, so that they have created so that they stay together as a one piece sort of thing. So that's how most of this is done. You have large groupings of different parts, and then building upon that, they have made this quite impressive scene, which feels quite like something out of the Dark Souls games or something of that nature. And they also have used some pretty clever tricks to give this scene a bit of sense of scope and magnitude by placing some bridge meshes over here, so that it looks like we're surrounded by this immense large structure and environment. So overall, I think this is a pretty awesome looking pack. For sure something that is of interest for people that are looking to create something like Dark Souls, or having a bit of a fantasy gothic style to their game or project. Next up we have the low poly town. And this one is consisting of 150 plus models. You can see that the art style is quite stylized and quite simple and low poly, just like what's on the tin. It is pretty cozy looking environment, I have to say. The art style is very congruent. You can see that you can create quite a varied look from what you have available in this pack. Now, if we go and check on the overview to see what it consists of, we can see that we have a bunch of different buildings with some different types of architecture and style to them. And moving over here, we can see that we have some props, some traffic lights, some signs, and we have some bus stop benches and such things. We also have some foliage and trees over here. And we also have a selection of cars. So all of these together create this low poly map, which in my opinion looks pretty neat. So if this is something that you're looking to make use of, it's not quite the style of Synthi assets, which is quite common, but it's fairly close. But yeah, so if this is something that you're looking to create in your, or make use of in your project, I'm sure this will be a good fit. The last environment pack that we get this month is going to be the grocery store props collection. And inside of here, this is actually the only map that they have available as a preview scene. So it's more like an overview of what items you have. So you have different containers here, and you have some different furniture and some shelves and such things. This pack consists of almost 500 unique meshes, and you can see that there are of all kinds of types and varieties to make something that you can create a grocery store out of, allegedly, but it seems like there's some, well, I mean, you could have a loader in a grocery store in the back, I guess, but it seems like it's not just focused on the grocery part, the consumables, but rather the whole idea of content inside a grocery store, except for the actual walls, ceiling, and such things. So it's really what it says. It's a prop asset to fill out certain things that you already have structures for them. So if that's what you need, this is the pack for you. Next, we have one of the more interesting packs in this month, in my humble opinion. This is the Survivors Roguelike multiplayer game template. What this is referring to as a Survivors Roguelike are the games like Vampire Survivors, a very small indie game that hit it big by selling a lot of copies, getting some attention, and spawning a bunch of clone games of the same archetype. So this is multiplayer, which sets it aside from how Vampire Survivors worked. And this is an example of it running in multiplayer mode. So you have a client up to the left and you have a server down to the right. And these two players together have to fight off waves, and by defeating enemies you get experience globes dropping, and you have a shared experience bar in the top, allowing you to level up at the same time as the person you're playing with. When you're leveling up, you have some example abilities that you can level up in, so you can upgrade existing abilities or you can get new abilities. And once both of the players have leveled up, then you can see that the game resumes, and yeah, that's how it goes essentially. Once you either die or once you die, you essentially travel out of the lobby. Let's actually show that off by doing this for one player only. Also, there are some collectibles along the game area as well, so you can knock some boxes open to get some currency. You can see in the top right as well. And the currency is sort of your meta progression, which means that it is used for things in between the different runs. In this specific game template, that is being used for unlocking other characters. So this is the lobby screen, and if you were two players, you would be both in this lobby screen, and the host is the one that decides when you're moving along to a different area, and you have some different demo maps that you can travel to as well. These are the characters that you're able to unlock. So with the gold you have accumulated, you can spend them on these characters, and they will be unlocked and available for you to use. So you can switch between the different characters that you have, and they have different starting abilities, and they level up similarly when it comes to abilities once you play. So overall, this is a pretty cool project, and there is a lot of interesting things that you could dissect by jumping into how the different parts are made up. You have AI and characters, and you have the pickups, and you have data tables and enumerators for different things. You have save games and such things as well. So there's a bunch of different things here that you can jump into and explore. For the most part, I have seen that it seems fairly documented when it comes to the commenting. The code looks fairly clean and pretty simple. I have not seen something egregious at all here, so I think this is a pretty interesting project if you want to dissect it to learn that way. Or you could just use the project as it is intended to create a vampire survivor-like game, and just use it as a template to start off from as well. It's depending on what your preference is, of course. That's going to be it for this. Last up, we have a pretty neat dialogue system. It's called the Defender Animated Dialogue System. And within this system you have this sample project where you can walk around and talk to different characters, and we can explore what options are available to us. So we have some interactions. Open the door here, we can talk to this character over here, which shows off the basic dialogue. So you get this character popping up, showing off in a typewriter kind of style what it has to say, and you can get some options. You can also get presented with some responses to make use of. Moving on, we can get to the next character here, which says that among the features that are available, there are also possibilities for branched row dialogues. So that's something you can make use of as well, and it's handled through data tables. In addition to that, you can also talk to people and have them audio cue.
Warning, you have attacked a hero within tower or in
be played
when low on
in addition to the
shadow
text, so that you can get more immersed or convey something in a more cohesive atmosphere to what the game is that you're making with the system. You also have something that is related to, it's called the dialogue continue forms, but it's essentially persistence, so that this character you can talk to, he says two different things, and after that when you talk to him again, he doesn't do the introductory part, he just goes to the second part of what he was saying. So you have some persistence about maybe people want to say something, one thing, and then you say, I have nothing more to say, or similar to what old school games used to have. They had only one or two dialogue options available to them. This character showing off the same thing here, talking to him, he says he won't talk to us, and then he says he won't talk to us, and we can move on. Here we have a example of branching options depending on stats. So there's a simple stat system available in this project where you can make use of, so you can see over here the stats that we have available to us. You can use reasoning, manipulation, intimidation, and karma. So if we were to do something like intimidation here, we can threaten this character and he can say that he's not going to give us any money, but we are losing karma, which means that if we were to now check our stats again, we can see that our karma has been reduced to -1. So that's something that's working in under the hood as well. Furthermore, you can go to trigger events. So by talking to this character, he will spawn a sphere up here on the staircase and it will roll down. So you can have different bits of blueprint code triggered from your data tables as well, which is what this guy is showing off. You also have some save game states. And over here is a character that explains a few more of the options that you have available to you with the system. You have things like you can customize the dialogue to have certain characters not showing up or not, the images, cinematic modes and things like that. So having camera move in certain ways, just to allow you to have some more flexibility when it comes to the presentation of the dialogues that you're going to be having. Here we also run to our next part of the map where we are given examples of characters that are not using the lower bottom screen to talk, but instead are using bubbles for their chat bubbles for their texts. These are also updating as they have more or less to say. Over here we have a console showing off some basic functionality to interact with and allow us to, in this case, open up a door to the northwest. Going here, we can see that we have characters following waypoints. And then we can open up a last room here where we have a console which explains that this is how you can open dialogues from a level blueprint. Because in this case we were not talking to a character, and from here we get this choice of if we want to open the door and finish the level, and we get a small cinematic over achieving this. And that is more or less the demo project that you have. So that's showing off in a nutshell all the different features that you have that you can make use of with the dialogue system, which is a fair bit. It's grouped and structured fairly well, I would say. You have some data tables here for different things like participants and the dialogues and level dialogues, videos and documentations as well. So this is related to the mini bot, and if you wanted to have a detailed bit of information regarding one of the different features, it will send you to that specific video then if you want to learn that way instead. So anyway, it's a pretty interesting and neat little asset. That's going to be all for now. I hope that this was valuable to any of you. And yeah, keep on learning. Take care. A big thank you to all of you who like, comment, subscribe and share my videos, or through other means support this channel. You are what makes this channel grow and become a resource for other people to learn from.